Hi there, join me this morning as I go for a little walk in the snow. We've had the first snow of the year, and so this morning I can't resist getting out and going for a little walk just to see what I can find. Now I haven't got a lot of time because it's quite mild and the snow is already starting to thaw a little bit. I've just seen some drop off a branch in front of me, so I'm going to have to be fairly quick. But hopefully I should find some interesting things. This morning I've got my 24 to 200mm lens and my macro lens as well, just in case I see something interesting. So come along with me because I know that I'm really going to enjoy my photography. The video really isn't doing justice to how dark it still is this morning. It looks fairly light on the video, but it's fairly overcast and very murky. So I'm going to have to use some fairly long shutter speeds and just be careful about where I walk. We've already had a visitor, probably a cat by the looks of the prints, walk through on the drive. So I've taken a photograph of that, but I do have to just be careful about looking where I'm walking because I want to try and keep the snow as pristine as possible and I don't want to cover it in footprints. One of our neighbours here has got a lovely Christmas display at the bottom of his drive, and I've just got lost taking photographs of the Christmas lights but completely out of focus and just getting the bokeh and just trying different ways of taking the photographs to try and make pleasing compositions. It's a really interesting thing to do, and at this time of year it really makes things feel very magical. Now just recently I've really changed my mindset towards photography. Yes, the epic landscapes still do interest me, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time to get the right light and maybe travel long distances to get those great landscapes. But if you stay on your doorstep and think a little bit differently, you can still get great photographs that are still just as pleasing. Now just here I'm on a cross-country field and this is a horse jump and it's made of bits of wood, but the way that the snow has caught the wood with the gaps in between has made for a really interesting abstract pattern. So what I did was I turned the camera slightly on its side so that the struts of wood were going diagonally through the frame, and I think that it makes for a really pleasing, quite abstract image. So it's always good to think outside the box. As I was walking across this field here, I started to notice little bits of grass poking up above the snow, and I thought this could make a really good photographic opportunity. So I've swapped to my macro lens and put the tripod really low down to the ground. I can get it almost at ground level, and this allows me to take photographs of individual blades of grass that are poking out through the snow. And so what I've tried to do is look for either single blades, pairs or threes of grass that I can just isolate from other ones. I've used the screen on the back of the camera to manually focus because I'm quite close to the blades of grass, but I think they make for some quite artistic shots. Now I've spent about half an hour here just taking photographs of blades of grass coming up through the snow. Now I didn't think that I'd be doing that when I sat out this morning, and it just goes to show that if you come out with an open mind, then you can find things to photograph wherever you look, and it's been really relaxing. In fact, I've got quite lost just searching for different arrangements of grass, and I think I'm going to go away with a few quite nice images. I've been heading for this woodland here behind me, which is only about 500 meters from where I live, but it's taken me nearly an hour and a half to get here because I've just got distracted along the way by things that have taken my interest, like those blades of grass poking through the snow and the Christmas lights with the bokeh. And that's one of the things to think about when you're taking photography. Sometimes having no plan can be a good thing. Yes, sometimes you really do need to think about where you're going and think about the lighting conditions and where the sun will be, but occasionally you can just come out and see what presents, and you can get some really good photographs if you just think in an open-minded way. So let's go into the woodland and see what we can find in there. Now, anybody that's tried woodland photography will know just how tricky it is. I don't find it particularly easy, and you can see behind me there's lots of trees that are all jumbled. Some are covered in snow, some aren't, and so it's going to be really difficult to try and find a nice composition to pick out to just isolate it from all the other jumble that's around it. And that is the most tricky part about woodland photography. There's just so much going on that to try and just find some simplicity in what is a chaotic environment can be very difficult. But let's have a go. This area just here is a little bit precarious at the moment. It's covered with a layer of water that's then covered with a layer of ice, and so I can't tell what is solid ground. I've just been trying to make my way over to try and get to some of these interesting trees. At the moment I'm stood on solid ground in about 3 or 4 inches of water, but I just moved a little bit further out and the water nearly went over the top of my wellies, and so I'm gonna have to be very, very careful just here. But I can see some intriguing looking trees just a little bit deeper into this area that's flooded slightly, so I'm going to carefully make my way out. Oh my goodness, How many people were watching that, hoping that I would fall in? Goodness gracious, this is not pleasant. I don't even know whether I've got a very good photograph. Anybody that's a regular to the channel will have seen this pond quite a few times because I do come here quite often. I came here last year when it was foggy and I got a really nice shot in the fog, and I also come here to take photographs of birds because in the spring we get quite a few different varieties of birds on this pond, so it's quite a good place to come. But I've never been here before in the snow, so it is a good idea to revisit locations in different conditions because you never know what you might get. Now at the moment there isn't a lot of snow sitting on the top of these grasses here at the side of the pond. There is ice on the water and there's a little bank of snow just here. So what I did when I took the photograph is I lifted the camera up to make sure that I separate this bank of snow just here from this clump of grasses just here, just so the two were separate and not overlapping. Just right here in the middle of this field is a tree, and what I've been able to do is isolate it from the background because there's a gap in the hedge just here, and so I've zoomed into 200mm and it's really compressed the scene. And because I've been able to get the camera quite low because of this gap in the hedge, I've managed to separate it from the trees along this hedge line in the background as well. What a lovely morning I've had. The time has absolutely flown by. It's not been too cold and I've really enjoyed just trying different things. Now, if I'd have said what I would be taking photographs of before I left the house, I never would have predicted some of the things that I've spent quite a bit of time focusing on, and that is the beauty of photography. It doesn't always need a plan. Sometimes you just take what you are given, and that's the beauty about being able to be adaptable. You can just change your ideas on the fly. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, do let me know down below in the comments, or nip over to my Instagram or Vero account. That's at doakdenphotography. Leave me your comments there, and you can also see lots of my photographs. Now, if you like what I do on the channel, you can also visit my Teespring store. There I've got a range of merchandise on offer, so head off over there because the purchase really does help me out and it's very much appreciated. And also, don't forget the super thanks button as well. But you don't have to spend any money to support the channel. You can do that simply by clicking like, subscribe and the bell notifications. It really helps me out and it makes sure that you don't miss out on any future content. Watch out for next week's video. That goes live on Sunday. In the meantime, go and check out this video just up here. But all that's left now is to say, stay safe and I'll see you soon.